Hello and welcome my fab fans to Glam's new video. What would you do if you found a baby on your footstep? Just like the front of your house? So I was walking in a Whole Foods and we immediately saw a trad wife. Or a crunchy mom. Honestly, she could have been both. And I immediately made a comment about them. The thing is, my mom is a crunchy mom. I know she is. She's like the holistic medicines person. Which is ironic because she takes so many painkillers. Specifically tranquilizers. She was just saving all the painkillers for herself. Ooh. Do you like burritos? My friend admitting she is my friend because I'm like how I am. And my brother has nothing to do with why we became friends. And proving it based off of how I act and am as a person. Like, they hear I'm related to my brother and are like, but they're nothing like them? How does that happen? We have very different parents. My brother chose to stay with our dad because our dad had money. I wanted to stay with my mom because I knew she was going through shit. And I wanted to be there for her. And make sure she didn't end up with a shitty man. And also warn people of her. She's a lot to deal with. You can't just be a normal person and be with my mom. Because one, she's gold digger, and two, she likes Native American men. Like, she has just like a whole thing for that. Because a lot of her exes, most of them, are Native Americans. Because she's a very holistic person, so it makes sense why she'd end up in places with a lot of natives. But it also makes me wonder how she ever decided to be with my father. How many times can you make the same joke without it being unfunny? I remember how I was talking about like personal space and how I'm trying to teach my nephew personal space because he clearly does not understand the concept because he's a child. And then one of my members of my group chat is like, "Well, I do that." And then his wife immediately was like, "Yeah, and I fucking hate it." I was like, "Damn." Maybe you should learn personal space, bro. Because my friend's kid will get up in your face. Um, I was reading this one manga, and it starts out great with like the main character just being a really shy, innocent character, but they like look awful. Like they would like cause and beat up people for no reason. Even though they wouldn't, they're just really shy and don't know how to talk to people, and they don't know how their face is scary, which sucks, but is kind of funny. And he was like, "Can you teach me how to like be confident and like act how his face is meant to be?" And so this kid sets the school on fire and then says, "He's my accomplice." And everyone believes him, but not his friend. Everyone doesn't believe the main character now, but they believe the person who blamed him. That sucks. And now he's in like a love triangle with like one of the higher like gang leaders. And they're really trying to get him to like not be a virgin, which is hilarious because he's like this really beefy buff dude and he's like really like gifted looking. A romance story between a pizza and a regular man. This looks really cool from a distance because when my eyes make it blurry, it looks prettier because the colors blend together a bit better. When being blind helps make things look nicer. Like people. So many people look so much better when I'm not wearing my glasses. Though I'd rather wear my glasses around my girlfriend. I want to be able to see her. I don't need to be blind for that. I hate it when I hear whispering in my ear because of an ad. I hate ASMR. Everything about it makes me absolute cringe. Which is ironic, because a lot of people say my videos are like ASMR. I'm just quiet. Ow, my arm started spasming real bad. So my manager today, I was eating a pretzel in the office because I was hungry and I hadn't eaten breakfast, and I brought a chocolate covered pretzel with me. And he walked from out of the freezer and he was like, and not wearing his glasses like he normally is, and I saw him place them down and they were just fully fogged up. He was like, well, I won't be able to see for a minute. And of course, like I always do, I make jokes. I usually don't get breaks at work, which is fine, even though they technically are mandatory to be sent on if you work for over a certain amount of hours. Is there just hair on this? Is that a dog hair? Something I think about is how often on the internet people have, like, women have talked about how their husbands just shit themselves. And I'm pretty sure it's the type of guy who will fart on people randomly, or just fart to make a joke, that is the one who will shit himself. So if a man thinks farts are funny when they fart on people, they're most likely the type of man who will also shit themselves. Are there women who also just shit themselves because they can't tell that they have to poop? Is this just like a thing that happens to some people? That some people just evade their whole life? And also, who would make someone else clean their shitty drawers? If I ever shat myself, I'd throw that out immediately. Because I'd be so embarrassed that it even happened. And I'd also think I was ill, physically. Because who can't tell the difference between a fart and pooping? But maybe that's just me, because I know usually I'm very constipated, so I don't have to deal with diarrhea unless I have food poisoning, but usually the vomit comes first. If I'm overly warm, I know very, very certain that I will vomit. I was almost in a car accident. Again. I'm so glad they actually know how to use their fucking brakes. Because it would have been my fault, too. But I didn't hit anyone, and they didn't hit me. So we all doing great. Except mentally, we're all probably freaked the fuck out from that whole event. And I will wait slightly longer and be more patient next time that I leave my driveway. And back out slower, because clearly I don't see enough when I'm backing up. But there's also a giant tree and my dad's truck parked at the end of my driveway, so I can't see down the street, even if I wanted to. And at the end of my street, there was a person parked on the corner, perfectly blocking the view of the road, so there was no way for me to see anyone coming. Which sucks when you need to see down the road in order to know if it's safe. And if you look away for even a second, you wouldn't see shit. Don't park at the end of a street. That's fucked up. If you know for certain you'd block any form of view of a turn by parking there, don't park there. There are other places. There are better places. So one of my dad's friends has, like, this kid whose wife her best friend was murdered, and they found her body dismembered behind a Walmart. What is happening in those, like, mid-states that they keep finding, like, a bunch of dismembered people in body bags behind Walmarts? What cult shit is going down in those mid-states? Because I'm pretty sure it was someone, like, somewhere like Minnesota or something, or Idaho, or Ohio. What are happening in the middle of the America states that are just nowhere near, like, the water, just middle of the US type states? What's going down there? Are you just, like, on cult territory? Why are there so many people in those states getting dismembered and put in body bags behind Walmarts? Why is it a commonality? Because murder in general is not common. As much as we'd like to believe it's common, it's really not. You're not that likely to get murdered. You're more likely to get murdered by a family member than a stranger. But in general, not likely to get murdered as long as you don't do fucked up shit. But I kept hearing about, like, dismembered cases happening in those states, and it's a lot. Like, I understand in my state, we get a lot of, like, stories of possession and hauntings and witch trials. We get a lot of those stories, but never dismembered up bodies behind the Walmart. We get, like, the crackheads behind the Walmart. There's a whole community of them in the homeless camp. But not dead bodies. The dead bodies are usually found in lakes. There actually was a serial killer in my state not too long ago, and I don't know if he's been caught yet, but he was in my part of the state too, specifically, which is wild. Also, we, the one thing about my part of the state is people do not lock their cars. Not because they trust the neighbors, but it's because we just don't want people breaking our windows. And I'd rather have someone steal something out of my car than break a window. Because the cost of damages would be so much higher than whatever you steal from inside my car. Going to a mechanic is more expensive than whatever you're gonna take from my car. And usually they just steal the crack lighters. I remember my friend's car got broken into, and they didn't steal the wad of cash that was in her glove box. No. They threw it on the seat and took the crack lighter. Because we like to remove the little metal piece that makes it hard to flick the lighter, because I don't have strong enough thumbs to push it down. And she struggles to do that too, so we just remove the metal piece no matter what on our lighters, so it's easier to use. And well, that was all that they stole from her car. They didn't steal the cash. They didn't steal anything normal. No, they stole the crack lighter. The reason it's called a crack lighter is because that's normally what people do to lighters if they want to smoke crack. I didn't know this. She did, though. So she's been around some people. So something funny, though, that happened with me and my brother is He didn't believe that I spoke to my cousin and that he was actively telling me things and talking to me. He didn't believe that me and my cousin were still friends. We were friends first. While he was playing with our older cousin, I was playing with the younger one and hanging out. He broke my arm. We were friends first. Why does he not believe that we would ever hang out with each other? Like, I know we don't go out with each other because, well, we're technically not cousins. But we still call each other cousins because our parents are friends. And it's kind of like how if your mom has a best friend, you usually call her auntie. I don't know if every family does this, but that's how my family is older women, aunties, and older men, uncles, younger women, and men, cousins. Specifically if they are related or the children of your parents' friends, they are cousins. They're cousin by friendship association, and that's it. My best friend, I call her my sister. My friends that I'm really, really close with, I call them sisters. I don't know if other people are like that. I just know in my family that's kind of how we've always been. I remember there was this one dream that I kept having where there was a giant warehouse. And every single time I'd go into a different room, the layout would change. I couldn't go back into the previous room. Every single time I'd go through a doorway, it would be a completely different room, no matter what doorway I went through. And it just was a bunch of doorways the entire time. There was nothing specific that I could remember in that dream. And things just like kept appearing over and over and different things. And I think I was getting chased the whole time in that dream. Can't really remember details because that was years ago. But I was getting chased by something. And there was things jumping out at me, but I couldn't see what was jumping out at me at all. And I knew I wasn't alone. I was running with other people, but I don't recognize the people I was running with. But they were important to me. And I didn't recognize their face. I'm very good at recognizing faces, but I didn't recognize these people's faces. They looked scared. They all did. But I felt calm. But I was running. So I felt out of breath. But I wasn't scared. But I was following. But I knew I wasn't the threat. Because things were jumping out at me, too. Something I won't ever do is go to a haunted house that's actually known to be haunted. I like it when horror movies have flashback scenes and they switch between the now and the before. It's a really interesting way to put the story together, and I've always loved when they do that. Instead of just starting with nothing, figuring out who the characters are, and then bad things go down, there's a build-up of between and the before and after, and it slowly switches between them until you get the full picture. Why do I keep getting recommended weight loss methods? I don't need to lose weight. I'm already underweight. And the reason I can say underweight is because I was 114 pounds and now I'm 13.5. I wanna stay the same weight. I do hope to finish this one a lot sooner than some of my other diamond arts, as it is smaller. Something I always think about is, why do people who look for spirits always go to places with bad energy? If you want a spirit, you'd go somewhere peaceful and calm, like a graveyard, not somewhere with bad energy, where there's possibility of demons. A spirit is not a demon, and a demon is not a spirit. They're completely different energies. Spirits are just people who are lost and don't know how to move on, while demons are not human, and they're manipulative. Usually children. I have a fear of children, so I tend to be very wary of them, as I find them kind of scary. Since demons are more likely to pretend to be children than to pretend to be something older. But I've also never trusted strangers. Looking for letters. Sometimes it's hard to find a letter to see if I've missed any, which is why I switch between them very often. This whole center area is really bugging me because it keeps folding up. But once I'm done with that point, it will be fine. I know sometimes I have a bit of a spiritual connection to things. Like crows, I feel an energy from. Cats, I feel a peace. And they make me calm. I don't like dogs, though. Earlier today, my cat was trying to steal my sushi. I like sushi. Is certain kinds of sushi safe to feed cats? I probably never would, because sushi's kind of expensive. And it's meant to be like a nice little treat to give yourself once in a while. Okay. Anyway, peace, love, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Good night.